Movies with the biggest plot holes. Most films don't intentionally collapse under the weight of their own plot holes. The large team of people behind every movie we watch wants to tell the best story possible, usually in the most coherent way they can. With so many moving parts in each production, it's easy to make mistakes that go past everyone involved. After all, writers, producers, editors, directors, cast, and crew are all focused on playing their roles, and sometimes something obvious gets lost in the shuffle. Plot holes are inconveniences that stand out for dragging down a story or making things nonsensical. Even the best movies have some plot holes. In the past, plot holes were the cannon fodder of critics. These days, they are often great sources of meme material. Either way, here are some of the most notable plot holes in some beloved classics and recent blockbusters. RoboCop's failed logic does not compute. RoboCop is one of the best films ever made by Paul Verhoeven, but it's far from perfect. The story about Officer Alex Murphy, killed in action just to be resurrected as a corporate product, is a timeless story that still holds up despite being 36 years old already. A crucial moment within the film is when Murphy's conscience overrides his programming and he begins to solve his own murder. He busts Lawrence Boddicker in a drug deal when he admits to being under the orders of Dick Jones, a high-ranking OCP executive. Murphy has his confession on record, and he could have chosen to show the footage to anyone in the force using the data plug he has in his right hand, leading to the arrest of Jones. Yet he decides to go on his own, leading to the activation of the dreaded Fourth Directive. Indiana Jones and time travel don't mix. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is a flawed film in many ways, but the plot revolving around the MacGuffin that drives the story needs to make more sense. Jürgen Voller wants the dial to travel back to Nazi Germany so he can get rid of Hitler to ensue a Nazi victory. Voller somehow manages to reunite the artifact and opens a wormhole, but this takes him to the precise moment when Archimedes created the dial. This sequence brings up so many questions. Was Archimedes working on the dial at the precise moment when the Romans attacked? How did he know the dial would be found in the future? Did he plant the dial with the sole intention of saving himself? Do these time vortexes open any other moment in history, or only when two sets of users coincidentally activate them simultaneously in different periods? If you dig past that, there's also the colossal plot hole about how Helena managed to bring back Indy after knocking him out. The Karate Kid's illegal crane kick. Let's take a moment to number the rules to win the All-Valley Under-18 Karate Tournament. 3 points are required to win the match. Hitting the head, the sternum, the kidneys, and the ribs are allowed. If there is no winner after 3 minutes, the match will continue in sudden death overtime. The person to score a single point during sudden death is the winner of the match. Going by these rules, Daniel LaRusso won the match fair and square, but how did he actually win? Daniel took a lot of punishment from Johnny, which caused him to limp in pain. Daniel's stance while wounded shows exactly what he was going to do next, yet the move catches Johnny by surprise. Not a great look for such a revered film. Since when is Amanda Waller DC's Nick Fury? Black Adam was a film with many good intentions but went off with a whimper and many issues. It wasn't the fault of the crew working in the production, as the film endured 3 different studio managements before Peter Safran and James Gunn took over. Amanda Waller had been set up as a deep cover operative who extorts control over superpowered criminals to make them take care of things regular superheroes won't touch. She was never meant to be DC's Nick Fury, so how come she plays that exact role in Black Adam? Not only does she have the Justice Society on call, but she can also boss around Superman apparently. Why Buzz freezes in Toy Story? Toy Story is a revolutionary film that changed the animation landscape for years to come. It's also the film that started Pixar's long-standing tradition of placing feelings on everything. One of the unwritten rules about this world is that toys, while alive, must act as inanimate objects in front of humans at all times. Woody clearly states so when they face Sid. Buzz begins the movie seemingly unaware he's a toy. He believes himself to be the actual Buzz Lightyear. He thinks he is exploring a whole new world, yet when Andy enters the room, he goes as inanimate as the rest of the toys in the room. There has been no explanation in the film, yet you'll find many YouTubers doing their best to explain their reasoning behind this, with one of the most popular theories being the placebo branding effect. Who killed Barry's mom in The Flash? The Flash is another film riddled with plot holes left and right, and it doesn't even bother to go out of its way to identify why Barry does everything he does in the film. So, the story picks up with the same motivations that have driven Barry since we met him in Justice League. He wants to prove his dad wasn't the one who killed his mom the day she died. Yet Barry never tries to find out who killed his mom, as his primary focus across the story is to prove his dad didn't do the deed. The issue is addressed by Andy Muschietti, who says that it was Reverse Flash who killed Nora, yet we never see him in the movie. The grand twist at the end is that Barry was the one to cause the Flashpoint paradox, and he still didn't learn anything from the experience as he sort of makes peace with the idea of his mom dying. However, Barry still has to make sure he lets his dad off the hook by switching the places of the tomato cans he went out to pick out in the store. Kate and Leopold pulled a Futurama. Time travel will always cause nightmares for fans of any property. Ask any comic fans, and it's likely they will say most convoluted and intimidating stories revolve around time travel. A romance film like Kate and Leopold shouldn't have such an issue, as James Mangold did this fantastic film as a feel-good story with low stakes. Yet there's a big plot hole created with the occlusion events made by Leopold after he travels to the future, leaving Stuart stranded in the past. Stuart manages to return to the present and send Leopold to the past. Kate follows him without realizing she's pregnant with Stuart, making Stuart his own grandson in the process. And you thought your family tree was complicated. Matt Kowalski's death makes no sense. Gravity is an excellent film by Alfonso Cuarón, but the story has a few scientific failings, one of them being the direction hubris took after the Russian attacks. When something is impacted from orbit, it either falls down to the planet or it's expelled outwards to the void of space. Debris would never remain in orbit. Another point of contention is the gravitational pull from the impact, as astronaut Matt Kowalski feels he's going to pull Dr. Ryan to her death alongside him, when only a simple tug from Dr. Ryan would have been more than enough to negate the opposing force and bring him back to the Explorer. The cops in The Dark Knight Rises went for a spa trip. The Dark Knight Rises is the wonderful conclusion to Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, and we are lucky enough to have such a great director tell a great story across a trio of excellent films. Sadly, the last chapter had a fair share of issues, the most relevant being the logistics behind the cop raid in Gotham's sewers. So, Gordon manages to escape and alert the force of Bane's presence in Gotham. The police arrange a full frontal assault by going in full force and hunting down the League of Shadows. Are we meant to believe nobody wonders if this might be a trap at all? Nobody stays behind to make sure nothing bad happens. The whole police force supposedly spent months there, yet the minute they go out, the first thing they do is go to fight the League of Shadows in the streets, and they all look clean-shaven and pristine, unlike Bruce, who actually looked like a hobo before leaving the pit. Did they get some cleaning products while they were locked up down there? We'll never know. Luke's hideout is less than ideal. It's always easy to pick the inconsistencies in Star Wars. The beloved property has a passionate fandom that is more forgiving than others regarding plot holes and inconsistencies. Although the prequels on itself have numerous cracks and crevices, none stand out more than the chosen hideout for Luke Skywalker. Leia is placed under the care of Senator Bail Organa, a powerful politician who can forge all documents to prove he adopted the child. Luke, however, is given to Anakin's last living relatives, people he already met and interacted with in Episode 2. Given the Sith's attachments to his past and driven obsession, wouldn't it make sense to keep an eye on these far relatives of his? Wouldn't it make sense if someone noticed the cloaked figure with Jedi-like robes delivering a child to their doorstep? Hell, wouldn't it make sense if someone in the Empire who actually had a post in Tatooine suddenly noticed there's someone named Skywalker running around and manning ships for fun?